Okay, I want to talk about intermittent fasting and 4 tips for how to implement such a thing into your lifestyle. Tip number 1, choose a plan. 2 plans that I favor would be kind of the 5-2, meaning a weekly fasting schedule where you're fasting 2 out of 7 days of the week and the rest of the 5 days you're eating normally. Emphasis on eating normally. You cannot overeat on those days. And then on the 2 days of, quote, fasting, it's not a true water fast. You are consuming a small number of calories, between 500 to 600 calories on those days, but still you end up resting the GI tract and reset other rhythms in the body, which is critical to this whole fasting, intermittent fasting thing. A second plan that I actually have personal experience with would be the 18-6. So this is a daily fasting schedule where you are eating in a 6-hour window and fasting for 18 hours of the day. You have to figure out what works for you, what your goals are in terms of intermittent fasting, and therefore, go from there. Second tip, follow the rules of said plan that you choose. So the rules for 5-2, like I said, are normal eating on the days when you are on those 5 days of the week that are normal, not overeating. And then on the days of restricted calories, you are allotted 500 to 600 calories based on your height, weight, and sex. And there's actually a calculation on Michael Mosley's website for how to figure out how many calories you're supposed to consume on both your normal days and your fasting days to receive the benefits of the plan. With the 18-6, in the 18-hour window that you're fasting, you are allowed to consume water, tea, coffee, as long as it's black coffee, not black tea. You can have green tea or black tea or oolong tea, but just nothing in your tea is preferred. And then during the normal eating window, you are eating normally. You can eat 3 meals, even snacks. Again, your alcohol, though, has to be consumed in the period of the 6-hour window. So that's something to consider if you want to implement such a thing and you consume alcohol. Think of social situations and when you might want to be consuming alcohol. My own preference has been to basically have my 6-hour window of eating in really late afternoon and evening, so that if I'm out with friends and I want to have a glass of wine, that's totally fine because I'm in my window of eating time. So it's all about timing. You don't necessarily restrict what you're eating, though I would say as a practical measure, you do end up eating less when there's less time to eat. And I suspect that's partly where when people lose weight, particularly with their abdominal weight, that's partly where this comes from. So that's tip number 2, is follow the rules. Figure out what the rules are. Number 3, listen to the body. If your body is telling you early on that, this is too much, I'm feeling dizzy, then, break the rules and consume a snack or something like this till your body is adjusted. Remember that one of the benefits of this is that you're resetting really the rhythm of a lot of mechanisms in your body. That's my own philosophy, but I will say all these areas tie into one another. Our hunger and satiety, that's controlled really by the hypothalamus in the brain. Your insulin, sugar, glucose patterns also controlled by much of the endocrine system, including the hypothalamus. Your GI rhythms, your sleep-wake cycle, all these things tie into the godfather of the brain or the endocrine system, the hypothalamus. And I suspect, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect what's actually happening is that we're kind of resetting and re-regulating parts of the hypothalamus in intermittent fasting, and that's where a lot of these benefits come in, because you look at the wide sweeping effects of intermittent fasting and it would make complete sense. Probably also helping to re-regulate the HPA axis when it's thrown off. Therefore, really great strategy with someone who is subjected to, all sorts of things that affect the HP axis and throw it off in various ways. One of the difficulties in treating HP axis dysregulation is the fact that all of these different hormones can get thrown off in so many different ways. I mean, it's like a pile of popsicle sticks. You have all the hormones, the hypothalamus, the godfather, in case you've seen my other videos, shoots out, and all of his minions, the pituitary gland and all the hormones, it shoots out, and you have both the anterior and the post pit, then the adrenals and all the things that are controlled, right? So this is just a spaghetti mix of various hormones that, is one up, is one down, is one right side or backside, whatever. They can be thrown off in so many different ways. So really, it's actually a little bit of a misnomer to talk about HPA axis dysregulation as if it's some, like one thing. No, you're kind of just saying, it's a little misnomer. You're saying kind of nothing. Oh, it's thrown off. Wow, that could be, how many different combinations of ways could it be thrown off and which hormones are affected? Well, you have to follow the symptoms and possibly blood work and etc. So resetting the rhythm in this whole axis, I suspect intermittent fasting ties into this. So there you have it. Again, that's anecdotal evidence from my experience, but also what I know about physiology, kind of factoring in as my armchair thoughts on that. So yes, listen to the body, listen to what's feedback you're getting in terms of when you try to implement intermittent fasting, and take that into consideration. Fourth tip would be just remember the short-term stress. I'm going to call it a therapeutic aggravation, leads to long-term benefit. So if you can persist through this period of, say, 2 to 4 weeks in the beginning of implementing intermittent fasting, it's not going to be, you're going to feel kind of crappy. I have a video on that as to why that's the case, but just remember that it's going to typically be followed by better energy. So you're going to start, maybe you're fatigued, you have low energy, and then there's an adjustment period to this whole re-regulation of what's going on in your system. But that's generally followed by actually feeling better in the windows of time, well, all the time, really. My own experience has been, I feel better in a fasted state now because my body is used to it in the windows of time when I don't eat, in fact. But I still listen to my body. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and if I'm hungry in the morning, then I go ahead and have a meal. Most of the time I'm not. I wait until my window and then eat in my window. And it's been a great way for me to keep my weight stable, but also, that's really not as important as some of the other benefits, like making sure that my insulin and glucose, that I'm not insulin resistant, which I actually suspect I was prior to intermittent fasting. I didn't do blood work on myself, so I don't have that. But stick with it. If you do end up trying it, feel free to share your experience in the comments below, and questions, concerns, that kind of thing. I'm happy to try to answer those. And again, there are lots of resources out there. Consult Michael Mosley's website, which I will try to link to again. And happy fasting. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to do all the YouTube things like subscribe, like, share, etc. Thumbs up, smile at Jen.